Kia ora talofa namaste, haere mai, and welcome to the Niche Cache. We are here to talk about Aotearoa sports, just the sports that we always talk about, and that means I am very, very stupendously excited. Very excited for some calm, relaxed, mellow test cricket. The type of test cricket where you can have a little nap, you can go do the lawns, you can get out in the garden, you can trim your hedges, you can stain your deck. The type of test cricket where kids, kids don't need a reason. There's kids playing cricket games at T20 games. So obviously the kids are going to be playing cricket at an ODI. Obviously the kids are going to be playing many games of cricket at the test matches between the Blackcaps and the West Indies coming up.
You remember that one like a couple years ago? I think it was at Mount Maunganui where the kids did like a race around like the concourse there. There
No,
was
but you
just all
did.
these kids doing like just running laps around the field.
No, but you did interrupt my monologue, so that was good. I do not remember that, but I am
Okay.
excited for more children antics at the cricket. But I was getting to the punchline, which was allowing the kids to spend some time at the crease. That's what I'm most excited for because in Aotearoa, the kids do love to play cricket at cricket games. It's one of the best things about Blackcaps cricket in Aotearoa, New Zealand. And I'm just excited for some calm, relaxed test cricket. I mean, if you're at the game, you're probably going to have a little nap. If you're at the game, you're probably going to be at the bar having some beers, having some wines, having what else you need to do, maybe even some Aotearoa vitamins behind the toilet block. I am excited to see kids running laps around these grounds because they're a little bit bored. And a little bit of boredom is all right. It's okay. Ultimately, I'm just excited to see some test cricket of the mellow variety, which I do think is the more niche case variety. We are mellow folks, not to be confused with melancholic, because that's what we're trying to buck up against. But I am very excited for some regular, mundane, kind of boring, but also enthralling test cricket coming up. But I think it's still a week away. But we do have a Black Caps test squad, Black Caps versus West Indies. How are you feeling about boring, mellow, chill test cricket in Aotearoa coming up?
Well, those are all my favorite things. So, except maybe the boring, but boring is just it's a challenge. It's like the kids spending some time at the crease or running laps around the track. Like it's an opportunity to go and find something that's not boring to do. Like you entertain yourself. And all those other things. You don't need to add anything to the chill mellow vibes because that's already there. Like that's the best thing about it's the best aspect of cricket for that reason. And it does like yeah, it's nice to be able to be like I'm just gonna sit here with my book for a bit. I'm not gonna miss anything. I can hear it in the background. I'll look up if something happens, or no, I might just it's time to go get a drink, or like you're saying, like just jump in the garden, trim the rose bush. Do what you got to do. Chuck it on the radio while you're out there. It's like there's no other sport that offers you that much kind of the ability to ingrain it within the rest of your life during that day in the same way. There's nothing else like it.
Well, it depends what country you are. That's my point here, is that we in Aotearoa, we do have the boring, mellow, chill style of test cricket. And at this current point of time, I think that's what excites me the most.
Well, it's better than 2-day test matches, that's for sure.
I don't care about the length of a test match.
Well, it's the
Well, because you can have
it's
a
it's,
boring
it's the quality within the 2 days, but yeah, sure.
no, it's the speed, it's the hecticness. that it's all right. Like you, that's all right. But I'm just in a celebration for Aotearoa and the way Aotearoa does things. That's most excited for me because you can have a boring test match that lasts 2 days. Like that's all right. Like it doesn't need to be all action for 2 days. Like it's the same thing where this is one of my hot takes. Like I don't think anyone buys a ticket to a cricket game and thinks, I'm buying this ticket and I need to be guaranteed that I'm going to see 85 overs today. People don't buy tickets to test cricket games to see X amount of overs. But when they're talking about the speed of play, when they're talking about the over rates, that's what they put. Oh, what about the fans? You know, well, I don't think any
fans are being ripped off by not getting those extra 5 overs or whatever.
I don't think fans.
Not the case.
I don't think fans are buying tickets based on the amount of overs. They're just buying tickets to watch Test cricket, and we in Aotearoa right now are going to be juxtaposed against the hectic shambles of this other series. That was fun to watch. Well, one game of it was fun to watch. And we'll be watching the next game. We'll probably watch the game after that. But in no stage over the next month or so will I be thinking, damn, I wish the Blackcaps versus West Indies was like that other series. Because that's not what I want right now. What I want right now is some chill vibes. The weather's good. We're all just chilling in Aotearoa. Aotearoa is the best country, but it's also the worst country, so you should definitely not come to New Zealand. Don't come to New Zealand. It is terrible. It sucks. But chill, mellow, test cricket is the best. And the Blackcaps are the best ODI team in the world right now. So we're just going to weave our way through these two different formats for the Blackcaps to start us off here. The Blackcaps have the most ODI wins in 2025, 17 wins. But they've also played 20 games. No other nation in the world has played more than 17 games. Pakistan, they've played 17 games with Mike Hesson in charge, I think, of Pakistan right now. Well, Mike Hesson, greatest cricket coach ever, greatest New Zealand cricket coach ever. Oh, he does this in this other country in the franchise leagues, Mike Hesson, all this stuff. The Blackcaps have a win-loss ratio of 5.666. Pakistan have a win-loss ratio of 0.7. The only cricket team with a higher win-loss ratio in ODI cricket this year is the big Donalds of the USA. They're 10-1. And they've got a tie, so shout out to them. The only other countries with a, let's go, win-loss ratio higher than 1.2. Sri Lanka, or they're 1.16. But then we go Oman, 1.33, Netherlands, 1.5, Scotland, 1.7, Afghanistan, 4, India, 4.5. But if we narrow that down to the nations who New Zealand plays in ODI cricket, because we are one of the best cricket nations in the world, despite having a far smaller population than USA, Afghanistan, Scotland, Netherlands, Oman, all these other countries, that's probably where New Zealand should be if we're just ranking on populations and resources and stuff like that. But instead, we're one of the best cricket nations in the world. New Zealand 17-3, India 9-2, they're 4.5, New Zealand 5.66, Sri Lanka, as I said, 7-6, 1.16, South Africa 7-7, they're a bang on 1. Then you go Pakistan, Australia 4-6, 0.66. Then we got a bit of Bangladesh 3-7. Oh, England 4-11, 0.36. The only team of the top tier cricket nations in the world with a worse win-loss ratio than England is the West Indies, who we just beat.
After
3.
beating England.
Correct. And now we go into a test series against the West Indies that is part of the World Test Championship. And New Zealand has not started their World Test Championship campaign just yet. But the West Indies have, and they've had 5 losses. So right now, New Zealand's the only team worse than the West Indies because we haven't played. But we'll see how this test series goes. And ultimately, I'm working to a final point here that I do think this test series is very, very important for New Zealand. Because as I've established, we are the best ODI team in the world by a notable margin. It's undeniable. It is a fact. And I do want to get into some details about the ODI team in a jiffy. T20s, we're all right. I'd say we're all right. And I'm still hoping we can get to the semi-finals of the T20 World Cup because last T20 World Cup with our superheroes of a previous generation, we did not make the semi-finals. And that was a step backwards for the Blackcaps. We've got a winning record in T20 internationals, as I said last week. Not quite as good as the ODIs. Winning record this year. But we don't have T20 cricket for a couple of weeks now. We are the best ODI team in the world right now. And we need to, well, for New Zealand to fulfill the potential I know we have to be for it to be factual, we are one of the best teams in the world, if not the best team in the world, and not just my airy-fairy opinion. We need to do some damage in this test series against the West Indies. Home tests have been a bit of an issue for the Blackcaps. They did lose to England last year. They've basically lost, I think off the top of my head, a home test every summer. I would like to fact check that, which I will do in a jiffy.
That sounds right.
But the World Test Championship success for me, you always need to handle your business at home. And then you try to pick up an away win overseas. Maybe a series win. Maybe every team goes to India, they just dominate India and it's all good. You keep moving and grooving. Don't know how you can be one of the best cricket teams in the world when you only win major tournaments in your country and or favourable situations like the Champions Trophy where they didn't have to leave Dubai, and then you lose home tests as well. That's you can't be top tier in the world or tippy top of the top tier if you're doing that shenanigans. But that's also New Zealand because we have lost tests in home conditions. All of which is to say, this dominant ODI group and wait and see T20 group now morphs into test match mode, and they need to handle their business against the West Indies. To be honest, I think given where the West Indies are at, 0-5 in the World Test Championship, the Blackcaps need to handle their business fairly comfortably. I think they can do that, but first and foremost, test series win. Ideally, sweep the series. But this is a big test series for the Blackcaps. It doesn't feel like that because we're chill, we're calm, we're relaxed, we're mellow. But the Blackcaps need some test wins. The Blackcaps need to repay. This is something I do want to say about the fans. Kiwi cricket fans are awesome. Kiwi cricket fans love watching cricket, and the Blackcaps need to, because these games there'll be decent crowds, because there's decent crowds for any game in New Zealand at the international level, regardless of the format, regardless of the opposition. Kiwi cricket fans are going to show out. And the Blackcaps, I do think, need to reward that faith, that support, and just fill the nation with some Test cricket joy in a very mellow way.
Which all things being equal, they should do. Like, we are a better Test team than the West Indies, and we're at home, and we're close to full strength. Not quite there. There's a couple bowlers that aren't around that might otherwise be there. But like, these are the types of Test matches we normally win, and often win fairly well. And the Black Caps have been playing good cricket throughout the summer, and both formats. I think we lost the T20 series to England, didn't we? But certainly, ODI stuff. I mean, they're on a
and the Australian series.
Yeah, but we don't count that. It's against Australia. We always lose to them, which is probably why why it's good that we haven't played them in a home ODI series anytime recently, because that's why we're able to keep going what is a pretty incredible at this rate 11 victorious home ODI series in a row. Like, just went up to 10 when we beat England. It's now up to 11 after beating West Indies, swept both of those teams in those series. I think we 28-2 across these things, and in their last however many, complete. I think there's a couple no results in there, but 28-2 in their last 30 completed home one-day internationals. Crazy stuff. I looked this up for the newsletter last week because I was like, that could be a record. And I know Australia have never had a better home winning series streak than that, because that was the first team I looked for. But I think that might be a technicality. It's because they didn't really play series. They used to play those tri-series tournaments type things with 3 teams there. So they don't count in those figures. How could you can't figure that out otherwise? Because you have the neutral games against each other. That's more like a tournament format, but that's fine. Keeps them behind us. But actually, it turns out South Africa has a 17 home ODI series victorious streak dating back to the early 2000s, October 2002 to November 2009. So it took them 7 years to get there. 17 home series victories in a row. We're at 11. We have one more series this summer against India. I don't know how many series we'll get next year, but it's going to take about 2 years before we can break a record for this, if they can keep up winning these games. But they've been doing pretty good lately. That's all nice stuff. I think it's the Test Championship factor that makes this West Indies Test series such an important one, because I was just looking up quickly to see, and I couldn't find just a list of results in order of the calendar in a row. But I have a feeling we haven't started these test cycles, these WTC cycles, all that well. I know we dropped a game in Sri Lanka, I think, in the very first one. Obviously, in a way, like a draw in a away series isn't so bad, but yeah, like I said, I couldn't find the things to scratch that itch to be sure about that. But it feels like that's something we haven't done that well in previous cycles, even in the one that we won. Was just getting off to a good start. But regardless, whether we've done it before or not, it's still something you want to do every time a new cycle comes around. You want to get some wins on the board nice and early, and set yourself up towards the top of that table where you can work it from there. Especially, like you say, you just got to win your home test matches if you want to be successful in this. That was the key to the Black Caps making the final in the first time around. One of them was that we were very good in home conditions in that time. And yes, since then, we've dropped a few. We've lost a test at home to South Africa, to Bangladesh. We've had Australia come here and win test matches. England have come here and won a test or two in that time as well. We haven't been
more
as
like
flawless.
3. At least 3.
Yeah, well, there you go.
Credit to them.
Yeah, fair enough. We've won a few back on them, which isn't the case with the games against Australia. But yeah, fair enough. You win test matches outside of your country, you're doing something right. Yeah, didn't do right in that game the other day, but that's not our problem.
Yeah, sorry. I aside from the Tim Southey celebration, I don't think we've actually won too many tests against England recently, but that's all right. We don't need to talk about that.
The Neil Wagner one, the last over of the day, whatever, that was a good one.
Yeah, that's way further back than my parameters.
That was about 4 years ago now, so yeah.
But just finish with the ODIs, because we did make the Champions Trophy final. Can't forget that. And that, of course, India during the Champions Trophy didn't have to leave one city because everything is in their favour. So that was a fairly good, excellent result for the Blackcaps in that tournament, especially after the 2023 World Cup. That was the first major one-day tournament without Southee, without Bolt, and they made the final in foreign conditions. Like you're talking about home series ODIs. Well, they dominated Pakistan and South Africa in Pakistan before that series, and then they went through that series and had an excellent tournament in Pakistan as well. So they are very good just generally in ODI cricket. We do have a couple of ODI legends that we need to highlight. Daryl Mitchell, highest ODI average for Blackcaps with over 1,000 runs, I think is the nugget. And then Matt Henry, as of Sunday morning, he was the leading ODI wicket taker this year. And his 31 wickets averaging 18.5 is far superior than Adil Rashid's 30 wickets averaging 23.6, but not quite as good as Namibia's Bernard Schultz, who's got 30 wickets averaging 10.3. But Matt Henry is the leading wicket taker and basically the best ODI bowler in the world right now. Mitchell Santner's on the list as well. But the beautiful thing about the Blackcaps in ODI cricket is, yes, you've got Daryl Mitchell, but there's, of the 10 batters who have scored 200 plus runs, which, like some of these test playing nations who play twice as many tests as everyone else, 3 times as many tests as everyone else, and then celebrate themselves as the leading run scorer, the leading wicket taker, yeah, bruh, you're just playing more cricket than everyone else. So we do need to highlight some efficiency. So 10 Blackcaps batters have scored 200 plus runs. As I said, Blackcaps have played the most ODI cricket though. 6 of them are averaging over 40, and that doesn't include Mitchell Santner just casually averaging 26 with a strike rate of 115, smashing the ball everywhere. 20 games, 12 different batters who have a 50 plus score. 7 batters this year have hit a century in ODI cricket. So yes, we've got a legend in Daryl Mitchell, but he's only one of 12 batters who have a 50. He's only one of 7 batters who have a century. Okay, we got Matt Henry, best ODI bowler in the world, one of the best bowlers straight up and down in the world. 10 bowlers have taken 9 plus wickets. So again, we're playing the most cricket. We're going to take the most wickets. We're going to have a lot of wickets taken, hopefully. 5 of them averaging below 25. 7 are averaging below 30. 3 of them, 3 bowlers who are not averaging below 30 are Kyle Jamieson, who was the leading wicket taker against the West Indies. He's averaging 30. Michael Bracewell's averaging 31.8. And then there's Will O'Rourke, maybe the second best bowler in New Zealand. Behind Matt Henry, he's averaging 40. Blackcaps bowlers who are averaging less than 30 in ODIs this year: Matt Henry, Mitchell Santner, Jacob Duffy, Nathan Smith, Ben Sears, Zach Folks, Blair Tickner. Henry and Santner, cool. They're Blackcaps legends. They should be. Duffy, Smith, Sears, Folks, Tickner. Those are dudes who have kind of settled into this new era of Blackcaps cricket, and they've been highly efficient in various sample sizes. So once again, we got a legend, Matt Henry. We've even got a legend in Mitchell Santner, but you got a lot of other dudes chipping in. So you got a lot of dudes scoring runs. You got a lot of dudes taking wickets, and that's just in ODI cricket. So yes, we are the best ODI team in the world right now, with 2 of the best ODI players in the world, Daryl Mitchell, Matt Henry, 2 of our best ODI players for New Zealand ever. But we've also got a lot of dudes doing a lot of other stuff, helping that team. We haven't even seen Glenn Phillips recently. He's got a record this year of averaging 70 with a strike rate of 106. Hasn't played since the Champions Trophy, I don't think so. So he might help the team. But I don't know if Will Young's helping the team right now. But that's all right.
Well, he is still in the test squad, so there's time to turn it around. I think the most impressive part of that was, well, apart from obviously just the sheer dominance of guys like Matt Henry and Daryl Mitchell, the point of the like 7 different Centurions in ODI cricket this year, that's crazy stuff. That's a huge number, especially because it wasn't that long ago. I was looking up the like how recently each of our batters had scored test centuries, and that was not a great list to appreciate up until that was before the Zimbabwe series. I think a couple guys managed to tick some over there, but still, that's like wasn't something like the last Test championship cycle only Williamson and Ravindra scored hundreds or something along those lines, or a stat close to that, but. Yes, in ODI cricket where scoring hundreds is rarer and harder to do because you're on a 50 over time limit, to have like 7 different guys this year, like that is more Centurions this year than you can fit in a batting lineup, really. I mean, unless, because I know Mitchell Santner didn't score one of those. I know like Zach Folks didn't score one of those. Nathan Smith, those are probably top order batters, and that's probably like there's 7 of them. That's a big call.
Yeah, so I've got a 7 here, and this is for ODI cricket. I'm just writing down my batting order. These are only for batters who have scored a century, as we're talking about. So we'll open with Tom Latham and Rachin Ravindra. That seems sensible. Then we've got Kane Williamson batting number 3. That's sensible as well. We'll chuck the Dazzler. Daryl Mitchell, he can bat 4. That's sensible. That leaves us with Chapman, Phillips, and Young. What we might actually do is we'll open with Young, and then we'll leave Latham batting number 5. We'll go Chapman number 6, and then we'll go Phillips, because Phillips was one of the century hitters, and he is currently an all-rounder. Very good start to the Plunket Shield for Glenn Phillips, returning from injury. Took wickets in both innings, finished with 5 wickets at 2.8 RPO. And he scored 34 runs at a strike rate of 89 in the game. But his second innings, he hit 28 not out with a strike rate of 140. And that's the Glenn Phillips we love. So yeah, century makers, 7 century makers. That's our batting. You can make a batting lineup right there. Will Young, Rachin Ravindra, Kane Williamson, Daryl Mitchell, Tom Latham, Mark Chapman, Glenn Phillips. We've even got a wicketkeeper. How about that? Tommy Latham. You can be our wicketkeeper. And then we got Santner. Strike rate of 115 this year.
Well, and also Devon Conway has a top score of 97, so
it
was almost 8.
Yeah, it's
not good enough. That's it. It's not good enough. He scored 97 and he still doesn't make the cut.
I still prefer Will Young as a cricketer.
I saw you deliberating that.
But Will Young is only averaging 18.8 this year, even though he's got a century. So that's why Will Young is in a precarious ODI batting position. It is a different story for Test cricket. That's why I highlight how many dudes are averaging over 40, how many dudes are averaging below 30 in ODIs, because if we go to Test cricket, I'm operating since the start of 2024 here. There's only 3 dudes who have scored runs. Well, let's take out Henry Nicholls because he's batted 3 times and he did hit a century in Zimbabwe. Congratulations, Henry Nicholls, as part of his fantastic run of form. Big Donny centuries. Shout out. But it's only Rachin Ravindra, 47.9. Kane Williamson, 59.5. Will Young, 42.5. You mentioned centuries in the last World Test Championship cycle. I do think it was just Ravindra and Williamson, because Nicholls has his century, Blundell has his century, which I think was in a losing one against England, maybe.
Yep.
And
yeah, it was.
Devon Conway has a century as well, but he's only averaging 30 since the start of 2024. So we've got, you know, whatever amount of dudes with the century or whatever amount of dudes averaging over 40 in ODI cricket. There's only 3 dudes averaging over 40 in test batting since the start of 2024. So Daryl Mitchell's only averaging 32.7, Tommy Latham 26.3, Devon Conway 30, Glenn Phillips 29.1, which is all right for his role. Tom Blundell 22.2, Santner 28.3, again solid for his role, but the spread of contributions isn't quite there. But that you can chime in about the batting unit, test batting unit.
Well, I mean, I was looking through the squad when that was announced and trying to figure out what a first 11 would look like, and there's a few. I mean, there's like 7 or 8 guys that just pick themselves there, and most of them are in the batting lineup. Like, I think the only real debate there, considering that like Glenn Phillips isn't in the squad, still working his way back from an injury, playing domestic cricket, like there's really in the top 7 one spot up for grabs. And it's whether it's Will Young or Devon Conway who opens alongside Tom Latham with Williamson 3, Ravindra 4, Mitchell 5. You could swap Mitchell and Ravindra if you wanted. Blundell 6 and Santner 7 probably. You might have Santner 8 and like Fox or Smith if they're in the team, or Bracewell if he's in the team at 7, but it is a very settled batting lineup. No Henry Nicholls in the squad. I'm sure he'll be on standby in case Daryl Mitchell fails a fitness test or something. But knowing what I know about Daryl Mitchell, I don't. You probably need like a lock and chains to keep him away from playing Test cricket. Um, and yeah, it's a very settled batting lineup specifically. Quite a few options in how you put together a bowling lineup from the squad that they've picked.
Hold on.
Like, do you want the
Sorry, who was your number 5?
Mitchell / Ravindra? Probably Mitchell.
Oh,
I think
I forgot
Ravindra
about
is more likely to bat 4.
Yeah. Carry on.
Even though low key, I kind of would have them around the other way, but it doesn't really matter at that stage, particularly not if your opener's getting off to a nice start. And 4 or 5, a little bit negligible, the difference if there's a platform for you. But yeah, there's very stable batting lineup, but stable with players that like the Zimbabwe series helped a couple of them to put a few runs on the board. There have been a few other like instances around, but it's a stable lineup, but it's a stable lineup with guys who, especially compared to what we're just talking about with how good and how varied the contributions have been with batting and ODIs in the test match stuff over the last 2 years. There are guys in that very settled team that do need to score some runs in this series, and get back to what they've been in the past. Will Young and Devon Conway are probably front and center of that, but I mean, even Daryl Mitchell dropped off a little bit more recently. Ravindra and Williamson are exceptions, but Tom Latham has not been scoring the runs, the sort of consistency of runs that he used to in the past. Tom Blundell, aside from that 100, I can't remember what he did in Zimbabwe. I'm not even sure he even got much of a bat there, because I think the top order did the damage without him being needed for the most part. So he probably is feeling a little bit of pressure there, particularly as a one format player who doesn't get to use the other ones to find a little bit of confidence and time at the crease internationally. So there are, I won't say guys under pressure, because I expect this is the type of series where they'll probably, I think we probably will score some runs, but yeah, there's something to prove maybe for a few of those guys, which you don't always get when it feels like so much of that team picks itself, batting wise at least.
Yeah, and the thing that I've been talking a lot about over the last 6 months, I think, is the combination of Nathan Smith and Zach Fox in the same team. And we got it in the ODI group, I think, recently, and even the T20 stuff with Nathan Smith being in the squad. I think we're going to get it in the test series, because if Santner's batting 7, you got 4 spots for bowlers. I don't think they need to play Santner and Bracewell in these tests, even though, I mean, if Michael Bracewell was scoring runs or taking wickets, like, I do love him as a cricketer, the old beast. If he's not doing that, well, we love him less. But I don't think you're going to play Santner and Bracewell in the same team. And we don't need to worry about Glenn Phillips right now because he's not there. But then you got 4 bowling spots, and we can go Foulkes, Smith, Henry, Duffy. Like, that's all good. I'm happy with that.
Well, I think that's what they'll do.
And I did like the fact, obviously, Will O'Rourke is out injured, but the T20 and ODI squads, all the unavailable players, it's like these, like, all these dudes. But then we get to the test group, and it's a different type of dude. Injured players: Matt Fisher, Will O'Rourke, Ben Sears. The injury list from format to format kind of morphs from senior citizen on the T20 circuits to our up-and-coming fizzers for the test group. And, of course, Kyle Jamieson and Glenn Phillips aren't available for selection either. But those three dudes, if like because it's not a perfect gauge, but you do kind of get some sort of gauge of who the other players in the mix might be if they're mentioned as being injured. I think this is the best cluster of injured players I've seen for the Blackcaps in a while. Just as far as like, oh yeah, those guys are injured. Oh yeah, those guys are in the mix. Matt Fisher, Will O'Rourke, Ben Sears. Woo. There's a lot of talk in the other series, the hectic, frantic series, where it's like, oh, you need guys bowling at 140 k's per hour. Oh, this bowling attack is great because everyone bowls 140 k's per hour. Rah, rah, rah. All our injured bowlers bowl 140 k's. Like Will O'Rourke's bowling 145, Ben Sears, he can get up over 140, Fisher can get up over 140. You don't have to do any design work. You don't have to manufacture anything. We don't have to get in the lab and try and find some sort of genetic freak to bowl 140 Ks. No, these are our young seamers. Younger, emerging seamers. And they all hit 140 Ks. They just do it. We don't have to try hard. They're just there. And hopefully they'll play cricket and not be injured.
But if they are injured, we'll just pick a bowling lineup that has Nathan Smith, Zach Foulkes, Matt Henry, and Jacob Duffy with a bit of Mitchell Santner to hold down an end when necessary. You know, that's still a very good lineup. And that's a nice place to be.
Especially when Duffy's running on his toes now.
Oh, of course. I mean, that's the one thing where they did get into the lab, isn't it? And found a secret weapon in there, genetically engineered something. Jacob Duffy on his toes, still taking wickets wherever he plays.
The Lumsden Larrikin. Can I just give you 3 of my favorite Blackcaps things right now? Starting with Mitchell Santner. He's got an ODI strike rate this year of 115. He's got a T20 batting strike rate of 190. And the one and only Slinky Santner, who used to be one of the most frustrating test players of the past couple of decades. He is averaging 19.8 with the ball in Test cricket since the start of 2024. All of which is to say, this is a new version of Mitchell Santner. He's obviously captain of the ODI and T20 teams. He's smashing boundaries. Obviously, he's pretty solid with the ball in those formats as well. But he is smashing boundaries. He is smashing boundaries in a glorious fashion. And to this point, he has been an excellent test bowler in the last 2 years. Because, like, Henry's averaging 16.2 with 64 wickets. Holy cow. O'Rourke, 39 wickets, averaging 24.2. Patel, 23 wickets, averaging 28. Phillips, 23 wickets, averaging 36. Tim Southey, 17 wickets, averaging 59. Kakite. Nathan Smith, 10 wickets, averaging 36. Same with the batting. There's not a whole lot of dudes, averaging early 20s, let alone under 20 in the test team right now. One of them's Mitchell Santner, our leading spinner. The next thing, Kyle Jamieson, 7 ODIs this year, 10 T20s this year. They are the highest amount of games he has played in each of those formats in his career for the Blackcaps in a year. ODIs, going 2020 to 2025. He hasn't played more than 5. T20s, hasn't played more than 5. Played 7 ODIs, 10 T20s. That seemed like it might have been building towards a test return, but I think the sensible thing is Kyle Jamieson, he's been the most active, the busiest he's ever been for the Blackcaps this year. Just take it easy, bro. Take it easy. Don't worry. We got this. You're not the only good seamer that we got. One of those other good seamers that we have is the one and only Zachary Folks from Darfield. And we'll get to this in a jiffy, but I mean, Zach Folks is wrong way around. Pia Vlok is your equivalent of Zach Folks.
Yep, that sounds right.
Because you've been talking about Pia Vlok for a long time, and now she is here. And we're all seeing how good she is playing for the Wellington Phoenix women. I introduced you to Zachary Folks a few years ago, and now he's here, and he's just playing a lot of cricket for New Zealand, and he is averaging 8.3 in his one test. 16 in his 5 ODI innings. 26.2 in 16 T20 international innings. Meanwhile, he averages 26 with the ball in first-class bowling, list A bowling, and T20 bowling. So if we take out his 26.2 in T20 international bowling, Zach Folks is averaging below 26, or he's averaging below 20 in ODIs and test bowling. Hopefully we'll see him add to his one test, averaging 8.3 in the West Indies series coming up. But I mean, that's Zach Folks. Let's say generously he's averaging below 27 in all 3 formats as a 23-year-old who can also bat pretty well. He's got a T20 international stroke rate of 139. He's averaging 18 with the bat in first-class batting, 27.9 in one-day batting. And we saw how useful some of his batting was in the ODI series, and he hasn't been dismissed in ODI batting yet either. Damn, we don't get the Will O'Rourke not out tracker. We've got to wait for the Will O'Rourke not out tracker to see what happens there, because Will O'Rourke does love a not out. As we've talked about before, everyone hating on Will O'Rourke as a test batter, but that dude knows how to be not out. Do you have a different favorite Blackcaps thing? Maybe not as thorough as what I just rolled through, but I mean, it seems like you might appreciate some Devon Conway runs. You might appreciate no runs for Will O'Rourke. Like, runs for the other Will Young. Will O'Rourke might be scoring more runs than Will Young. That could be happening. But did any of those things really tickle your antenna, or do you have another Blackcaps thing?
Oh, I mean, the continued excellence of Daryl Mitchell and Matt Henry is always up there. The emergence of Jacob Duffy's been great. But I kind of think my favorite thing is also the one at the top of your list, which is Mitchell Santner turning into an amazing batter by getting super aggressive and smacking boundaries and really looking to lean into the thing that he does best, which is swing the cricket bat like it's a golf club and hit the cricket ball like it's a golf ball, and clear boundaries, um, scare fielders, then start smacking fours through the offside as well. On top of that, and just all this good stuff where he's like he's scoring runs, and he's done it in ODIs. He's especially done it in T20s. Most notably, most of the best stuff has come from the T20s lately. Um, and he just there are some batters who just like when they time the ball, it looks even better than others. And people say that about left-handers often, like left-handers are just a little bit more aesthetic. Well, Mitchell Santner is a left-hander, and also he times the ball remarkably well. And it's just fun. Like he's just one of those players. Like some players will slog and even be very successful with it, and it's just like cool. Like you're doing the job, but I'm not going to give you style points for it. I'm giving you efficiency points maybe, but Mitchell Santner looks so good when he's hitting these, like especially the shot that goes over like the left-handers version of Cal Corner, like wide of long on. When he's hitting sixes in that area, the ball goes so far and it just looks so clean, and I love it. I love it so much.
I prefer my Mitchell Santner sixes on his offside.
I'm not gonna say one's better than the other. It's just that's the one that struck to my mind. The nice thing is that all of a sudden we get to have a choice about it because he is hitting sixes in all of those areas.
I will choose one over the other. The Mitchell Santner like over wide, long on, almost cover, but not quite. To me, I like that just as much as Zach Folks's Dinky Donkeys behind the wicket, because he's an expert at that stuff. Plunket Shield cricket started first round started last week. Second round is being played on Wednesday, but also Thursday, Friday, and maybe Saturday. ND hosting Auckland in the wider Tauranga area, otherwise known as Mount Maunganui. Wellington are hosting CD in Wellington, and Otago hosting Canterbury in Dunedin. First round, Auckland had a win, Otago had a win, Canterbury had a win. So they are the good starters to the Plunket Shield. But my thing from the first round of Plunket Shield cricket are the batters who had a 50-plus score. Right? Mature batters who had a 50-plus score. Nick Kelly for Wellington. Barrett Popley had a couple for ND. Jack Boyle for Otago. Chad Bowes for Canterbury. Henry Cooper for ND. Good stuff. Emerging batters who are all 25 years or younger, who had a 50-plus score in the first round. Matt Boyle had a couple. Jacob Cumming for Otago. Lachlan Stackpole for Auckland. Jesse Tashkoff for Wellington. Arian Mann for ND. Tom Jones for Otago. Bevan Jacobs for Auckland. Tim Robinson for Wellington. Gareth Severin for Wellington. Mitch Hay for Canterbury. Taylor Bettelheim for CD. That's roughly twice as many emerging batters who scored 50 or who had 50-plus scores in the first round compared to the mature, experienced domestic batters. Folks should know a lot about Matt Boyle by now. He was the leading run scorer in the Super Smash last summer, who casually just won Canterbury the game with a big knock. In the Plunket Shield, he's also had a good start to the Ford Trophy. Folks probably know a bit about Gareth Severin for Wellington. He's been a good batter for them for a couple of seasons. Mitch Hayes played for the Blackcaps. Obviously, everyone knows Bevan Jacobs, because this time last year, he got an IPL contract, and I don't think he's got an IPL contract now. I haven't done my deep dives into T20 leagues because I'll never do that. But I don't think he is generating much contract buzz a year on, which does go to show how strange some of that media hype is. Yeah, it's just it's also goofy. But Bevan Jacobs is an excellent batter, just full stop, averaging over 50 in first class batting. Obviously, we all know about Tim Robinson as well. He's an excellent batter in all three formats. Jacob Cummings been in first class cricket for a couple of seasons, with Otago starting to find his method. Jesse Tashkoff might be more of an unknown to some, but he had an excellent end of the season last summer that made me take notice. And I don't think he does exactly the same thing as Bracewell, because I think he bowls lefty spin. But I think Jesse Tashkoff has a very similar skill set to Michael Bracewell. And I think, I don't think it's very far away, if Jesse Tashkoff keeps doing what he's doing, that he could be in the fringes of a Blackcaps squad soon. Just keep that one tucked away. No one will probably know who Taylor Bettelheim is. Started his first class career with I think a duck, and then he scored a 62 or something for CD, so that was good. That leaves us with Jacob, I talked about him, that leaves us with Lachlan Stackpole, 20-year-old for Auckland, lefty. Bevan Jacobs hit like 11 or 14 fours in his score, which I think was 94. No sixes. Lachlan Stackpole hit like 7, 8 sixes in his big 100. He smashes the ball as well.
So is he going to get the IPL contract next?
Yeah, he's definitely going to the IPL, where he won't play. He'll just have a paid holiday. Arian Mann casually started his first class career with 250s for ND as their wicketkeeper. Tom Jones, debut for Otago. What does he do? Easy mahi century for Otago. So not only do we have twice as many emerging batters scoring runs as the mature lads, but we got a nice mix of styles, of levels, of experience. Stackpole's a lefty, Cummings a lefty, Boyle's a lefty. So you got some lefties and righties, obviously. I loved that little package in the Plunket Shield. Like, no disrespect to the mature batters, even the mature bowlers. We always highlight anyone who's taken runs and wickets, but there was a clear trend in the first round of Plunket Shield with the young batters scoring runs. And Reece Madu didn't score runs. Muhammad Abbas isn't playing. Those are the most recent young batters in the Blackcaps. So you might look at the Blackcaps and think, oh, what, Henry Nicholls? Like, what, Mark Chapman? Like, will any young batter ever get an opportunity for the Blackcaps? You got to dig deeper. Because as we always say, first and foremost, those young dudes need to be scoring more runs than Henry Nicholls. And Henry Nicholls he had like 2 or 3 centuries in 4 innings up until returning to the Blackcaps squad. But if you dig deeper, there are no issues as far as batting depth. Like we've talked about the seam bowling depth with Fisher, Sears, O'Rourke out injured. There are no issues as far as young batters go. And based on what has happened, there's 3 dudes I'd say at the upper echelon. Tim Robinson is in fantastic form, scoring ODI runs, T20 international runs, but now also scoring long form runs. Bevan Jacobs, everyone views him as a T20 hitter. Maybe his best format is Plunket Shield. And then we've got Matt Boyle, who commanded a lot of attention last summer and has had a very good start to the season with Canterbury as well. So, and then you get to like Arian Mann, 19 years old, Tom Jones, 19 years old, Stackpole, 20 years old. It's a lot of really exciting up and coming batters, many of whom didn't do anything in the first round of Plunket Shield.
That's good to know. That's also probably reassuring to know to hear just like the extent of run scoring from the young batters there. That's I think you're right in that there's probably is a little bit of a misconception about it just because we see the Black Caps work through a few more, like there's just naturally more rotation on the bowling side. We see them work through some of those younger options. We've seen like, I mean, obviously Zach Folks and Nathan Smith getting into the full formats, but we've seen Matt Fisher has made a test debut as well on top of this stuff. Like it's a little easier to pinpoint that, whereas someone gets injured and the batter who's called up is Henry Nicholls. But like, A, Henry Nicholls deserved that at that time, and B, like you said, he is a gatekeeper for those other guys. He sets the standard so that you have to exceed what he does in order to earn that selection, not just getting handed it to you, but like to earn it. But then also, I think it's just batting seems like one of those ones where it's such a craft, and it probably takes longer of playing at, you got to play first class cricket for a bit longer in order to fully catch on to like what you're best at, how you're going to score your runs, how you sort of handle different conditions and different opponents, like all the many intricacies that go into it. Unless you're an absolute phenom like Rachin Ravindra, which every now and then there is someone like that who comes along.
We've got a couple of them.
Yeah, we do have a couple of them. There's Reece Madiu didn't actually score any runs in that first round of Plunket Shield, but like you can bet that's coming pretty shortly. Like, it's one of those things where like you sort of it doesn't happen overnight, and when you sort of realize it, you see the amount of like because it was the young batters that you ran through there, like there's an array there. I mean, you basically detailed it in the examples. Like there's an array between guys who are scoring runs in literally their first class innings, and others like Cummings been around a couple of years. Tashkov's been around 3 or 4 years probably since his debut. Like there's a difference there. Like this is layered depth that's coming through, and it is probably easy to miss if you're just looking at Black Cap squad announcements. But if you are following Plunket Shield stuff, or you just listen to our podcast, just read the stuff we put in our newsletter, the stuff we put on our website, you'll get the you get the goss there. Like this is happening. It's there. The talent on the batting side is every bit as exciting as the talent on the bowling side. It's just it expresses itself in a different way, I guess, maybe.
Meanwhile, the best bowler from Ford Trophy was Josh Clarkson. He started with 4 wickets in 1 innings, averaging 15 for CD. But the best bowler in the Plunket Shield, I'm going to give you the opportunity to guess, and we'll see how aligned we are, how in tune we are. There is one bowler who I have talked a wee bit about. I really like this bowler. Love his skill set as a cricketer. I'd say, especially recently, he's in the Zach Folks territory. And he was one of 3 bowlers who took 6 wickets in the opening round. Shout out to Rohit Gulati. Like, I think Rohit Gulati is one of the deep cuts of New Zealand domestic cricket. If you don't know about Rohit Gulati, you got to do some research about Rohit Gulati, or I can just tell you. But we want to keep things moving. As I said in the cricket YouTube video from Friday, maybe Saturday, Rohit Gulati he no longer has a wicket in every single innings of domestic cricket he's bowled in as a lefty spinner. But he does have his first fifer, because he didn't take any wickets in Auckland's first innings. Then he took a fifer in their second innings to help them win the match against CD, I believe. And he was one of 2 bowlers who took a fifer in the first round of Plunket Shield. The other bowler is one of my favourite up-and-coming bowlers. Who is that bowler?
I can't remember. I should go through the scoreboards a while, like, as those games were happening, and I can't remember now who took big wickets. Can I get a clue from like a region? Which team?
He's a seamer.
Okay, it's not a region or a team, but that's at least it's at least a clue. Because my first instinct, for whatever reason, was going to be like, I don't know, maybe in Eddie Ashok or someone like that, but he plays in the same team.
Yeah,
as
we got
Gulati,
him
doesn't
as well.
he?
He's like, we got a leggy on the rise.
Yeah, it's good stuff, but I don't know. Christian Clark?
No, he's
Don't know if he actually got wickets though.
he did take wickets in the Plunket Shield, but he doesn't
Cameron
have
Paul?
no, he hasn't played this summer either.
Oh, man.
It is the only one and only, the American Jock.
Oh yes, that's right.
Jock McKenzie. 6 wickets, averaging 9.1, 2.3 RPO. Him and Gulati, the only bowlers to take a fifer in the first round. Jock McKenzie is really good at cricket as well. Nice little caught and bowled battle between him and Angus. Angus is doing a great job for Canterbury. Very skilled cricketer. Wouldn't be surprised if Angus McKenzie one day plays for the Blackcaps, but I do think Jock McKenzie has a little bit more juice to him. Can we get some juice of the calm, relaxed, tranquil, muy tranquilo variety from the Mindfulness well?
Absolutely. And today's Mindfulness well is drawn from the works of, actually, I don't know if it's from the works, but it was a quote from Mary Shelley, who wrote Frankenstein once upon a time. I want to reread that because there's a new movie version of it that Guillermo del Toro just did, which I still haven't seen, but I'm going to, and that put me in the mindset after also listening to a podcast where they were talking about Frankenstein. I'm like, well, there's my tip for the week. I'll grab a quote from there. This is a nice example of brevity in the mindfulness here. The beginning is always today. I don't know if that actually comes from the book of Frankenstein or it's just something she said in a letter or whatever, but either way, it's nice advice. The beginning is always today. Get started. Get cracking. Fresh start every waking morning.
Jar bless my eyes this morning. The sun was on the rise once again. But also, like, if you're having a bad day,
yeah,
you start again. Like, you just start again, and nothing else matters. So, nice little bit of Frankenstein mindfulness. Obviously, a couple of the people in the Frankenstein worlds decided they would start again at some point.
Yeah, at least one of them probably shouldn't have. It wouldn't have had a book if that was the case, but then that also is the point of the book, is you don't go playing God.
Righto, this is where I'm going to use a term that I'll never actually use in relation to cricket. Because we do have that other series happening, and there is a cricketing term that I can't bring myself to use in a sentence about cricket. But if we're talking about other sports, and I have thought, like, what are some of the other equivalents to baseball? I was like, okay, rugby league, like NRL, we're playing baseball, so we're just going to offload every tackle. And even if we got 4 dudes wrapped around us, we're still going to dangle the ball in one arm, swinging it around, looking for an offload. And we'll probably make a few errors, but that's all good because it's the mentality, it's the conviction, it's the confidence to offload. And when it works, you offload, you've got 3 times as many offloads as your opposition, you're shifting the footy, The opposition's tired, they're buggered, they don't know what to do. So, like, what's the baseball equivalent of football for football? I'm saying, just have a crack. Just fire some shots. Anywhere. Just have a shot. Shoot. You're out wide, just shoot. Because if you shoot, then as the Porirua Park faithful tell us, then you're putting it in the mixer. If you're from halfway, just shoot. And of course, baseball offloads, you need to have your team on the same wavelength. Like, your teammates need to be ready for the offload. They need to have a plan. Once you get the offload, shift the footy. If you're shooting in football, you need some runners. Get the rebounds. Maybe you shoot into the breeze at Porirua Park. So then you need someone to run because your shot's not getting to the goalie. All right? But like football, baseball, just shoot. Shots on target, shots off target. Who cares? We're just about shots. We want shots. It's entertaining. We're here to save football. We're here to shoot the ball. I think the Wellington Phoenix might need some baseball. The Wellington Phoenix men.
Wellington Phoenix men might need some baseball.
This is
the Wellington
point.
Phoenix women, yeah.
This is the point. The Wellington Phoenix men, they gotta fire a shot. Because you might have some stats for me, because you have been covering the Wellington Phoenix like attacking styles in depth over the last few seasons, how they get their shots, where they get their shots, and all this stuff. Bruh, just shoot the ball. Just go towards the goal, shoot the ball. And there was no example more telling in their, what happened, who did they play?
Brisbane Roar lost 1-0 to a late goal.
There was no better. Wait, who did?
No,
Auckland?
wait, Brisbane Roar was the other one.
Yeah, that was
MacArthur,
Auckland.
Yeah, Auckland drew with Brisbane. I think Phoenix played. It was MacArthur, wasn't it?
I'm not sure.
It wasn't Western United.
But there was an example where I think it was Nagasawa, who I actually really like. Like, this is my problem. I like the Wellington Phoenix. I like Chiefy. I like all the Phoenix players. Unlike Sam Cosgrove, there's no Sam Cosgrove in the Wellington Phoenix team. Like,
it might be in the women's team. We'll come back to that.
I like the Wellington Phoenix. Who's the Cosgrove for the woman?
Brooke Nunn.
As in she's physical, or as in we don't like her?
It's a different way, because I think Cosgrove enjoys being a bit of a dickhead, running around and winding people up, whereas Brooke Nunn is more like the one who gets wound up. But she ran 10 meters out of her way to shove Claudia Bunge in the game on the weekend. And do you remember when Carolina Vial last year, the Portuguese goalkeeper, got pictured like poking the fingers at someone? Relatively famous image from last season. That was actually, funnily enough, Brooke Nunn that she was aiming that at. So yeah, she's got a history as a wind-up merchant.
None of my dislike for Sam Cosgrove has anything to do with him being physical. Even him being a dick. Nothing to do with that.
Oh, that's right. You just think he sucks.
He sucks. Like he
didn't do a lot on the weekend. Yeah.
The ball comes to him, it's a turnover. And I actually think the Brisbane Roar, they know he sucks. Like, it wasn't about trying to be out physical the big, strong Sam Cosgrove. It wasn't like, oh, we need to take down this dude who thinks he's the footballing Stephen Adams. No, the opposition knows that Sam Cosgrove is not good at soccer football. And I think they just bully him because they know he's not that good. So I'm sure that Nun lady for the Wellington Phoenix woman, she probably is good at football. The ball comes to her, she does something with the ball. I don't see Sam Cosgrove do anything with the ball. That's my problem with Sam Cosgrove. But the Wellington Phoenix men, I like them all. Like, this is a weird one. Who's the striker for Newcastle United? The guy they signed in the Premier League.
That Newcastle.
like Gravenbash, Gru.
Gravenbach, yeah, Dutch guy, Ryan Gravenbach.
No, I think that's isn't he like Liverpool Gravenbach?
Yeah, I think so, but
Yeah, Newcastle
I
United
don't
signed a
know.
striker, and he's awesome
There is a
because
guy called Gravenbach.
he gets into all these weird areas, and I was like, that looks like Eze, because Eze is always getting into weird striker areas. But the issue, like when Eze gets the ball out wide, there's no one in the middle. When Eze gets the ball in the wide channels, there's no one around him because the Wellington Phoenix do not want to score goals. They don't want to have a crack. They don't want to shoot. The example I'm going to bring up is Nagasawa on the left side of the field. Wellington Phoenix turn the ball over. They make a nice break. They get the ball down the other end of the field. They're on the edge of the box. I like Nagasawa. I like Armiento. They literally stand there looking at each other for a minute. And they're on the edge of the box, counter-attacking. The ball does not enter the box. I can feel myself shouting right now because it is one of the most ridiculous things in football is not wanting to score a goal. And I am convinced the Wellington Phoenix do not want to score a goal. They don't shoot. Hopefully you've got some stats that can prove me wrong, that maybe they do fire a shot every now and again. They don't shoot. They always want to pass backwards. And they have no, like, impetus, aside from when Sonny Bill Corbin Piper's on the field, to burst forward. It's, like, the Nagasawa and Armiento, like, there were guys in the box on that occasion. And Nagasawa and Armiento just look at each other, hoping that someone makes the sublime run so that then they could get to the baseline and then pass it backwards to the their own goalkeeper. That's what they would have done. Armiento would have burst forward, got to the baseline, they would have done a little bit of tiki-taka, then they would have gone back to halfway, swung it around the other side of the field. What's the point? Put it in the mixer. Have a shot. Until that happens, they're not scoring goals unless Eze gets the ball in a bit of space and he scores a goal. But the issue with Eze right now is he's getting the ball out wide. No one else wants to have a bit of fun, score a goal, win a game of football. And I think, because I'm someone who can have just as much fun watching Auckland FC and Wellington Phoenix on the same weekend. It's actually a highlight of my weekend right now because we're in this window where it's mainly A-League. I thoroughly understand any Phoenix fan frustration because the team doesn't want to score a goal, which you kind of need to do to win a game.
Yeah, the stuff there I agree with, and the stuff that I not so much disagree with, but just see in a different light. Because I don't think this Phoenix team is going to be any good if they just start balling shots from all angles. It's just like we don't need Alex Rufer taking pops from 30 meters out or anything like that.
Can we have one shot outside the box?
Well, they had one right towards the end. It was the closest they came to scoring. It was when Armiento did. Armiento has a rocket of a left boot. I want that guy shooting as often as possible. I would like to see Eze shooting as often as possible. And therefore, I think you just need to figure out better ways to get those types of players just into shooting type positions. And yeah, the game against MacArthur was such a weird one. Before I forget, the Newcastle guy is Nick Voltemade, who's
that's the dude.
German striker. Yeah, I can't, obviously I haven't seen much of him play because I didn't even think of what his name was. But I have watched a lot of the Wellington Phoenix play, and when they play well, they look beautiful this year. Like when they get those passes bouncing around in the midfield. The problem they had against MacArthur, and this is something they're really going to have to think about because it was too easy of a problem for other teams to just repeat against them if they're going to have that much trouble creating chances out of it, is that MacArthur didn't press. MacArthur sat in midfield crowded out those areas where they're trying to get like hit Nagasawa. He first time lays off to Conchi. He hits it forward to Eze on the move, sort of thing. They sort of need 2, 3 passes in a row like that, quick 1, 2 touch type stuff. But they need those little phases, and then things start to roll. Then the machine starts to move like it's going downhill. And when they don't, it just looks like the handbrake's on. And so you get to the end of a game like that against MacArthur, and it's like, well, it just felt like 90 minutes just evaporated, and he didn't really do anything because he's stuck with plan A, which wasn't working. And that's where I think, well, plan B is chucking on Corbin Piper. He did help a little bit. They shouldn't have lost that game because it was just a runaway goal. Like that should have been a 0-0 draw. It was the definition of a 0-0 type draw game. But they also, I think, missed Luke Brooksmith as someone who could play in those 10 roles. And if Eze's bouncing around and sliding in different places, one of those 10s has to be able to run in behind. Like you need someone who can give you a bit of a vertical threat, to use an NFL term. And like if that's not going to be Eze. If Eze's doing that, sweet as. But if he's sliding out to the wings, someone needs to go forward and stretch the defense. And Rami Najarine and Finn Grokonchi are not those types of guys. They're guys for the bouncy passes in the middle, which, as I say, didn't work against that matchup.
I've got no issues with the bouncy passes. That is a Phoenix thing. It's yeah, sure, it's a bit too much like the woman of previous seasons, but the Phoenix are effective in that. That's good. Yes, the opposition might have done some things to slow that down, but it still worked for the Phoenix many times. The Phoenix got the ball from their own half, from their own goal kick to the opposition territory, to the opposition box. I don't think that's the issue. They very attractive, they're very fun to watch and effective in working the ball down the field. They don't score goals from that. That is my problem. It's like, yeah. They have this sublime attacking movement that is genuinely sublime. They go pass, 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 cut through, run by, like all this stuff happening. And then regardless of who gets the ball near the opposition box, they're not going to score. Realistically, they're probably going to pull up and make a pass backwards and drive me insane.
Well, this sounds like one of those, I don't know, like one of those aphorism type things, one of those just cliches, but because I'm looking at the stats overall in terms of like shots and stuff for the Wellington Phoenix so far this season, and it's actually ridiculously similar to what Auckland FC have done so far. Like there's Phoenix have taken a few more, but Auckland FC have a couple more on target, so they've got a better sort of more accuracy. But in terms of shots per game, very similar, same amount of goals scored, same amount of shots on target per game, goals per game, blah blah blah. Which is actually different to what they've done in some of these recent seasons, where the Phoenix have been a team that shoots very scarcely, but to try and get into the best possible positions. Like they'll make an extra pass to try do that. And also when you are a team that relies on crossing a bit, that can go one of two ways. Like if you're getting a lot of glancing headers on those, as Auckland FC probably do, you're getting a lot of shots that maybe don't feel like goal scoring things. Whereas if you're, hunting back posts for those crosses and you don't quite, defender just manages to get a touch in front of you, or there's no shot at the end of that, but arguably it's a better goal scoring chance, situations like that, where I think just the focusing strictly on the number of shots is kind of meaningless because it doesn't tell you how they were getting those or whatever. So what I think it is with the Wellington Phoenix, and I really, there's a lot of negativity around them at the moment, and I'm not fully, I understand it, but I'm not really buying a lot of that. I think they're not that far away, but there are certainly a few things that they have to get better at. And I think as simple as it may sound, as almost reductive as it may sound, as cliched as it may sound, sometimes you just have to want to score the goals. Like you just have to have a little bit of extra desperation, or you got to get out of that kind of process mindset of like, we're making this pass, we're making that pass. When he's there, I've got to be in this position, blah, and just sometimes be like, well, let's just score a bloody goal. Let's take a shot here. Let's let it rip and just see what happens. Even if you're just a couple of times per game, Carlo Armiento should be getting his left foot loose, even if it's from a dumb angle or it's from a way out. Just take a few shots, show the opposition that you're going to do that is a thing they have to be aware of, that they have to adjust their defensive line accordingly, and that allows you to maybe have more success with the passing stuff as well. But you just there's like a single-mindedness about scoring goals sometimes, which just falls back upon like just like a desperation to make it happen that I don't really see in the Wellington Phoenix at the moment. And I do think that has at least some crossover with something we were talking about last week about the way in which the Wellington Phoenix, well, we're talking about the difference in the Wellington Phoenix and Auckland FC's kind of youth setups, and how Auckland FC they only have their reserve team. So they have like camps, they have training sessions, they have coaches who go around the different clubs and stuff to input their whatever to help with the development of the players in their region. But they like to leave the players at the clubs for longer until they bring them into their reserve team, which means you get a more diversified amount, like ideas coming in. You're dealing with different coaches along the way. Wellington Phoenix, very streamlined. It's not like there's a better or a worse. There's just two different ways of doing it. But the Wellington Phoenix bring players in younger, coach them through their academies. A lot of academy players, like more than a third of their minutes this season, same as last season, same as the season before, have gone to players who came through those academies. We've all had the same coaching. Their bench was mostly academy players as well, even though only a couple of them got on. All of the same coaching, all of the same ideas, and maybe that leads into, when it's not working, I think that can lead into a sort of element of a bit of hive mind, a bit of conformity. Everyone's kind of playing in the same way, which feels like what went awry against MacArthur, where it's like what should have been at least a draw, probably should have been a game where you can turn that into a victory, but they didn't have an adequate plan B. They didn't have a way to like shake the game up and go away from what they were initially aiming to do, just to add that variety, just to mix it up and take a pop, just.
They do have a plan B. The plan B is Corbin Piper.
Plan B is Corbin Piper. We both said that at the same time, because it's become kind of obvious, right? But it does change the dynamic, but
exactly
teams are expecting it.
Yeah, that's all right. You should always expect your opposition's plan A, B, and C. That's the point of preparation and research. You said all that last week as well. So I get what you're saying. And it is a very interesting element of these two New Zealand A-League teams. Nagasawa was not an academy player. Armiento is not an academy player. And they get the ball.
That might be why I'm talking about Armiento as like the solution to this, is the guy who can do something different,
He can do something different, but he's going to pass backwards. That is how this Wellington Phoenix group plays, and it's how I don't like my football. Because again, I love the intricate passing, and I like Oluwayemi at the moment. I do love he does have long passing. He's got short passing. I was going to have a little giggle at the Brisbane Roar goalkeeper with just how many times he was kicking the ball out. But of course, he had a bung hamstring, so sorry, but you're injured, and that's all right. We all kick the ball out on the full when we are injured as well. I am confident the Wellington Phoenix can get the ball from their goal beyond halfway in any situation. I'm confident about that. Whether it's an academy player up top, whether it's an import, regardless of who it is, once that ball gets near the box, they're going to stop. They're either going to sit there for a minute, as Nagasawa and Armiento did, or they will come backwards. That is not how you win games of football. And that is my issue for the Wellington Phoenix right now. I don't know, because yes, they've got the same number of goals as Auckland FC. Their shots are going to be similar, as you said. Like, that's right. The baseball thing was maybe like, let's just like have a crack a few more times. I'm not saying like just shoot from halfway every single time, which is a distinction that needs to be made, because if you say baseball, then you're going like full 100%, but there's levels to it, you know. But my issue with the Wellington Phoenix is anytime they're in a good attacking position, it's not a good attacking position because they're going to go backwards. Because
But this is academy mindset, position-based football, process-driven thinking stuff. Like this is what that looks like. As you're more worried about making sure this next pass is a successful pass than you are about like, yeah, but what's going to happen at the end of this move? Are we going to score a goal from this possession, from this phase? Like that's what I mean about the way in which the academy mindset is bleeding into the first team at the moment, which is fine for an academy team. The first team has to be able to go through those different levels. And yeah, it is a frustrating thing, because if you're going to pass back to your defense and just recycle, there's times where that is the right thing to do. If you have an overload on the left side, Amiento is blocked off. There's two defenders in front of him. He can't dribble. He can't shoot. He has to pass backwards. But then what you need to do is you need to move that. If they've overloaded their right side of defense, there's space on the other side of the field.
But see,
that's where you need to access that space quickly, and that's what they don't do very well.
That's what they want to do.
Yeah, but you have to move the ball quickly to do that.
Yeah,
is the problem.
But even if, so as we're saying, you push up on the left, you get a bit of space, then you come back, you know the space is on the right. And you're saying they don't, but they might get the ball to the right. What are they going to do on the right side of the field? They're going to bring it back, and then they're going to try to go to the left side of the field.
You get it too slowly, the defense, like a good NRL defense, they slide. And then you're crowded out on that side as well. And then you just do the same thing again, going back and forth.
The academy
you have to get it quickly.
Yeah, the academy mindset, I think, is a good kind of summary point here, because yes, even if you get the ball quickly to the other side of the field, then it's the academy mindset. Instead of using that space to cut to the baseline, whip in across, get it in the mixer, maybe one-on-one, have a shot, the academy mindset is more of, now let's pull it back. And then you've gone from a good attacking position, the opposition has 11 players behind the ball, and yeah, then you're just watching the Wellington Phoenix pass the ball around the edge of the box, as they did against 9 men against Auckland FC. And it's like, yeah, they control the ball, but they don't really create that many chances. So I don't know. I'm in a weird place where I like watching the Wellington Phoenix, but I don't like watching the Wellington Phoenix.
I think maybe if they have a game where they can just actually score 3 goals or something and have like a comfortable win, that could be a tipping point. As in, like, you get a bit of confidence, things start to move, the ball moves quicker. It always happens when that's the case. It's just hard to see them having that type of game at the moment. But I do think they are. There's a baseline where they're playing pretty well. Oluwayemi had his best game of the season on the weekend. He was really good there. That is a big deal considering how shaky he looked at in the first game. I do think you have to make a decision about, like, I would have liked to see Flying Kiwis or even Dan Edwards chucked on at right wing back a lot sooner.
I do like Sheridan, though. I did like Sheridan.
I do like Sheridan, but I like Sheridan in the back three a lot more than I like him as a right back, because he's the definition of that academy type player who can play in every position and who is good on the ball and who keeps possession, but maybe just like sometimes risk losing position to take a guy on, something like that, those types of things. But that's not his game, is the thing. So I would have preferred them to change that quicker. And then if that's the case, like, you just have to make a decision. Sheridan starts all the time. Obviously they wanted Lucas Kelly-Hield in there, but I kind of think Isaac Hughes, whose passing numbers, I looked at this from that game, were way down on what Mandrake James and Lucas Kelly-Hield were doing, because he usually plays on the left, and here he's playing on the right, and he is a right-footed player playing on the right side. That shouldn't be an issue, but like, it's just not what he's conditioned to do at the moment. The angles are a little bit different, and I thought he was quite wasteful and quite messy there. in a way that you don't normally see from him. In
Is
which
that
case you might just
Mandraker?
Isaac Hughes.
Oh, okay. Because
Mandrake was the opposite of that. I think he can be a
no.
bit slow with the passing, as we're saying about the thing, but he does. He is very accurate with it.
Yeah, but he's got the short shorts and the long socks. That is a terrible combination.
Sure,
Like
sure.
you can't shorten your shorts and then pull your socks above your knees. If you're going to pull your socks above your knees, which I think is a weird look anyway,
Yeah, so do I.
you need the bigger shorts. You need the baggy shorts. That's all right. I can handle that. You cannot do short shorts and long socks. That is, yeah, that's weird.
Well, he's got a cricket name. He's used to wearing the trackies, I guess. I don't know. But what I was saying is like Isaac Hughes has been. You can't. I don't think you can get Lucas Kelly-Heald, Isaac Hughes, and Matt Sheridan all in the same 11 without making sacrifices that are maybe to the detriment of the team. You just got to make a decision there, and I would. The thing that's good about Carlo Armiento as a left wing back is he is a very attacking option. I wish he dribbled more than he passed. Like, I think he has the burst of pace to be able to do that. I wish he would add that too, because I don't know that there are a lot of dribblers really in that Phoenix team. Again, like so many of the things we're talking about are actually things that Luke Brooks-Smith does really well, which is why even though he's such a young player and not an academy player, because he came through it, like he was signed straight to the first team just because he was 16 or 17 when that happened. He didn't go into their academy team, though he has played a fair bit for the under 20s. He actually does a lot of that. He does dribble. He does take on defenders. He does take risks that sometimes concede possession, but also sometimes make things happen. He is speedy and makes runs in behind. He does you know, change the pace of the way the game is unfolding. So it's just seeing them play without him, even though he's only really been off the bench, just makes me think. Despite his age, despite his inexperience, he's actually an incredibly valuable player for this team because he actually does solve a lot of these things we're complaining about. He is someone who can be a solution, but there are others as well that can, like, as I say, Armiento could just run with the ball a little bit more, attack the space, just make more positive risk-taking decisions. I think we need to see a bit more from them at the moment, just in general like that. And the selection in that sort of the top of the box midfield there, where you got the two attacking midfielders, it's the same thing. Where it's like Najjarine, Conchi, then behind them Rufa, Nagasawa. It's all too similar, you know. You got to shake that up. I want to see some runners, even if that is like Luke Brooks-Smith or Corbin Piper starting games. Don't think that'd be a bad option.
I don't think Luke Brooks-Smith is any sort of savior. Like, yeah, he's a good young player, and
I'm not saying savior.
No, but
wait.
he has some of the skills and traits that can help this team. But they're still going to pass.
But playing
backwards.
him 90 minutes in the week isn't like giving him 90 minutes every week is not going to make them suddenly amazing. That's true.
And if the key player to help you look a little bit more vibrant in attack is a very young teenager, that's an issue as well. But even with
careful, careful, because if we talk about the Wellington Phoenix women,
yeah, that's
that
true.
also might be true on that side.
No, but that is the point that I'm getting to. The Wellington Phoenix men are coached to pass backwards. It doesn't matter what the skills and traits of the individual are. The men are coached to pass backwards. The women, which we'll talk about soon, are now coached to have a crack, to have some fun playing football and just be a bit more incisive moving forward. I will be looking out for Luke Brooks-Smith when he does return at some point, but I'm going to watch him get the ball out wide and pass the ball backwards, and then he doesn't have the ball. There's no one-on-one, there's no run behind, and it's going to give me the same feeling. But Auckland FC quickly.
You want to hear some Sam Cosgrove stats?
No, I want to say Jonty Bidwell is better than Sam Cosgrove.
Well, let me check what Jonty Bidwell did in this little, because he actually got a fair bit of a run. Like, he had 20 odd minutes there.
Yeah, and you've been talking about Jonty Bidwell for a while now, like Pia Vlok, like Zach Volks and everyone else, but like, he's not that much smaller than Cosgrove. He's faster. He's just more lively. actually can do some stuff with the football. He can trap the football. He can hold possession. He can actually do stuff. So right here,
He
right
had two
now,
shots.
after seeing
Cosgrove had
Jonty
one shot.
Bidwell play one game of A-League, I am confident in saying, and this is a positive for myself and my well-being, instead of hating on Sam Cosgrove, I'm saying Jonty Bidwell is better than Sam Cosgrove, and I'm just big-upping Mr. Bidwell.
Well, Sam Cosgrove in that game played 70 odd minutes, had 17 touches of the ball, which is not a lot. Where are we? 4 completed passes in 70 minutes. 4 completed passes. That's not a lot. But here's where it gets even better. 7 fouls conceded. So he gave away more fouls than he even attempted, but it was 4 of 6 passes. So he gave away more fouls than he even attempted passes, let alone the successful passes. And 2 out of 6 aerial duels won. So he wasn't even winning his headers that accurately for a guy that's the whole point of having him in the team. Yeah. Wasn't a good performance from him. I think there were 4 there from him. Possession conceded, whatever they call that. So not too bad, but
no. 4 completed passes, 4 turnovers.
Yeah, well, 2 of those would have been incompleted passes, but yes,
that's terrible.
He's retaining the ball 50% of the time you get it to him, which is
that's terrible. That's bad.
It is. That is terrible. That is not a thing you can sugarcoat. He is there to hold the ball up. That should be like 80% or something like that, you know? That is his job, why they signed him, and he's been squeezed out of that a little bit. It's hard when you got a couple of defenders on you and Guillermo Mai's kind of gone missing. That is not a combination we've seen at all yet, is Mai and Cosgrove working together in any way, shape, or form. Because I think that we just talked for probably longer than we should have about the some Wellington Phoenix negativity, right? I don't think Auckland FC played any better than them on the weekend. Those were very, very, very similar. It's just that Auckland FC had Lockie Brooks scored a great free kick. It's kind of
he scored a great free kick. But this is the thing. Auckland FC, they can play bad and not lose. They're second on the table.
That's exactly it.
They're 3 wins, 2 draws. They've scored exactly the same number of goals as Wellington Phoenix. So as you're saying, yes, Auckland FC weren't much better than Wellington Phoenix. In theory, Auckland FC, kind of shitty start to the season. But they're second on the ladder. They haven't lost. And they just do some of the basic fundamentals. Like they've won 3 games, which is still up echelon. Like they just do more winning stuff than the Wellington Phoenix. And they're doing it in spite of Sam Cosgrove, to my mind. Maybe less so to other people. But yeah, I just find, But I like, he's coming under a physical barrage from opposition teams. But because Brisbane Roar, I think they played the Phoenix recently as well.
Yeah, and the Phoenix scored in the last minute in stoppage time to win that game. It was
but it was the same stuff.
Very similar.
Like, because this is the cool thing. You get to watch the New Zealand teams play the other team. So you watch Brisbane Roars play Wellington Phoenix. You're like, oh, this Vidic guy's a dick. And then you see him play Auckland FC, and like, this Vidic guy is definitely a dick. Like, he's hating on my boy Zen Pinnaker. Like, they're having a scrap, and Zen Pinnaker, full of mindfulness, is winning the scrap. But
good game from him too. He played well.
Like Brisbane Roar, they're physical. They're going to upset opposition teams. And yes, Cosgrove is like a beacon for that type of stuff. But I mean, it's the same. We've actually got an interesting situation with Eze as well. Like, these are 2 strikers coming into their first season into the A-League. Like, it's a physical league to start with. But then you've also got the A-League referees just love to not blow regular fouls. So it turns into a game of rugby. And that's all right. Like, it's kind of fun. But Eze had I don't know if it was the game against Brisbane Roar where he lost his mind a bit.
I think it might have been. Yeah, where he lashed out off the ball,
Yeah, so that's it's not necessarily a Cosgrove thing. But opposition teams are going to play Cosgrove physically. This stuff is more of a Brisbane Roar thing. But if you've got a striker who is like he's not going to respond well to the physical stuff because he's going to get agitated. He's going to give fouls away, and you can kind of bait him into fouls. But also, if you know he's not that good, you can just turn the ball over. Like he's going to give you the ball as much as he gives his teammates the ball. That is crazy. Like you're telling me Sam Cosgrove gave the Brisbane Roar as much ball as he gave his teammates?
Yeah, basically.
What?
And that's not even counting the fouls, I'm assuming, which, because they already had the ball if you're fouling them, but that's not helping matters either.
Righto, so yeah, but and Auckland FC aren't playing well. Like, as you're saying, Mai's not playing that well. Gallios, was he even on the
rusty
field?
in this game, yeah. Very rusty.
Randall was all right, but he's coming back from always. Gillian, I thought, was really good, coming off the bench in the second half.
Ollie Middleton got a debut as well.
Yeah. So
he had played FFA or Aussie Cup earlier in the year, but this was his league debut for the team, so that was cool.
I think
still waiting to see Finn McKinley back in the first team, though. Man, what more's he got to do?
I think these Auckland FC youngsters are just as good as Wellington Phoenix youngsters. Like, you can't say, oh, Wellington Phoenix have an academy, so their players are better. Like,
the straight up and down right now. Compare the players coming through each. It's very equal.
Like that Middleton dude,
if not AFC slightly ahead. Like, I think maybe some of those guys, they're getting fewer opportunities, but they're arguably doing a little bit more with what they've got.
Middleton.
But I don't want to be too harsh because like Conchi, Sheridan, and Kelly Hill, Hughes, especially Hughes has been great for the last couple of years, but the AFC youngsters haven't let them down.
No Wellington Phoenix youngsters done what Randall's done.
Yeah, Randall might be slightly out of the youngster. He might be in a Hughes level of.
Middleton he'd be getting game time for the Phoenix.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. So yeah, Middleton actually looked quite nice. I thought that was when Auckland FC looked their best, was when like Gillian's not going to play over Randall, but given the Randall's situation, like with Gillian on the left, Middleton was on the right, Bidwell was in the middle. That's the Auckland FC I really want to see. But there was they don't have Dan Hall, they don't have Brimmer, so like Auckland FC, I am not saying they're playing well, but they're second on the ladder, 3 wins, 2 draws, and Franny de Vries almost won the game with his own free kick. If you're starting a football team, would you rather have de Vries as your left back, or would you rather play like the Phoenix with Armiento?
Well, it's a left back versus left wing back type thing, so there's a slightly different role. But because I wouldn't have de Vries if you're going to play with a wing back, and I wouldn't put Armiento as a fullback if that's how they wanted to go. But I don't know. They seem like the players that suit each of those teams, though. Like they've been amongst those two teams as best
but how
players.
Do you? I don't care what they're doing. I want your opinion.
Well, I don't care what I'm doing. I'll take
I
whatever
I want de Vries left back 4 every day of the week.
Yeah.
I am not moving from Franny de Vries for any formation. My formation is de Vries is playing left back, Zen Pinnock is playing left centre back. Do whatever else you want to do. But de Vries as my left back, to me, is a fundamental element, obviously, of how Auckland FC are playing football, but also how I want to play football.
Fair enough. I mean, you can't... he suits that team so perfectly. He does exactly the role that they would want from a left back, but then also... Like, he does the role they would want from a left back without considering how good he is from set pieces and stuff like that as well. And the crossing, I think Korok is always going to want a left back who can swing the ball into the area. But his crossing is of such a it becomes such a weapon that it's above and beyond what the sort of blueprint for that role would ask for. And he's like there's absolutely no doubt that he's the backup to Lipi Kikache going to the World Cup. Like there's no doubt about it. Kikache's missed 6 games in a row, and De Vries has started every single one of them. So, Darren Baisley sees it too. There is a drop off. Like he's never going to start ahead of Kikache. Maybe like some of the recovery pace and the sort of he's not the tackler that Kakachi is, etc., etc. It doesn't have quite the same engine, but he still has a pretty good engine. He's very fit. Um, but he brings something else to the table with that crossing, which is an important factor. And I think it's something I wrote a little bit about. Not a conversation for right now, but something I wrote a bit about in the last All Whites piece about Bill Tuiloma's spot as well. How he sort of it might be what takes him apart, looking like competing for the right back spot. Actually, just been released by his MLS team, which is beautiful news because they never played him. The fact that he's also someone who would be really, really good on the end of those De Vries crosses is something that might count in his favor as well with those things. Like just to have a little bit, it's good to fit the profile, but to have a little bit of X factor as well, to have something like a unique selling point on top of that, it's a very big deal and might be another way of explaining what we're saying about that Wellington Phoenix midfield and how they just go up and go back is maybe they're missing a few of those unique selling points on top of what are good, solid technical players, every one of them. Just maybe it'd be cool if one of them could shoot from distance, or if one of them could throw in a step over here and there, that kind of thing. Auckland FC do have guys who have those little bit of extra. Jesse Randall's pace running in behind is one of them. Cosgrove's size is supposed to be one of them, but maybe isn't at the moment. But we shall see. But yeah, I mean, it was also it felt like a significant development to see the fact that it was my subbed off with 20 to go, the fact that it was Cosgrove subbed off with 10 minutes to go, and the fact that it was Jonty Bidwell and Ollie Middleton who went on for them. So those are two Auckland FC youngsters getting 30 combined minutes there in place of starting import players there. I don't know, that's the thing we've seen a whole lot from Steve Corica thus far, so that feels significant.
We need to move on, but like Gillian isn't that much worse than Brock Smith.
No? I mean, he's a few years older, but yeah, no,
right.
As the player they are right here and now, no, there's not that much.
But difference. Also, so this defensive unit for the Phoenix, I think, would be way better than what they have now. Francis De Vries left back. Lucas Kelly-Heald left centre back. Isaac Hughes right centre back. T-Pain right back. Two holding midfielders, Rufer and Sheridan. I want that. I think that would make the Wellington Phoenix much better at football.
I like the back three, but
What's a back four?
Yeah. No, I mean I like the back three they play with currently. Oh. I see the vision of your own back four. The thing is, when you don't win games, everything's up in the air. You gotta find solutions one way or another.
Ultimately, though, my point is Francis De Vries as a regular left back is better than anything I've seen from the Wellington Phoenix over the last few years.
Well, and that's the best choice all white squad member. So
that's because Francis De Vries is awesome. But let's get into Wellington Phoenix women, who did have a very good win. They are now 1 win, 2 draws, no losses. So Auckland FC are the only team in the A-League men who haven't lost a game. Wellington Phoenix women are one of 4 teams in an 11-team competition who have not lost a game. So that's a good start to the Bev Priestman era. As we said, you have a couple of draws. That's a good, solid foundation to build upon. And we have now seen Pia Vlok impact A-League games as a 17-year-old all season. And she scored the winning goal against Melbourne Victory. Melbourne Victory, who are third on the ladder, 2 wins, 2 draws. 2 losses, sorry. And we did have Claudia Bunge in the Victory defensive unit. Also McMeekin, who, funnily enough, when she's playing one position, looks awesome. And it was quite different watching Zoe McMeekin just play right back for Melbourne Victory compared to her playing left back for
Right
the
back
Phoenix.
slash left wing slash right wing
Yeah.
slash left back. Yeah.
Oh. That plus the Phoenix men just passing backwards the whole time. To me, they are two like defining factors of the Wellington Phoenix. But the McMeekin defining factor was last season. Now we're in this season, and Bev Priestman has this team humming along with a victory. You can start with Pia Vlok and then just open it up into how the Phoenix have started the season under Bev Priestman. I think just their physicality, their enthusiasm, the speed and certainty with how they're playing, CJ Bott making quick decisions and all that stuff, they're just a much better team than they were.
Yeah, I don't know if CJ Bott's quick decisions are always the right decisions, but at least she's making them quickly. She does. Even Grace Jolly as well. Neither of them have a short passing game that's worthy of A-League starting midfielders, but they have other aspects. And in Jale's case, I think one of the fascinating things there as well, she doesn't really do and I think she has I think she has the scope to pick this up and improve this quite significantly. Like both of them, their passing success is in the low 60s, which is worse than what I was like more than 10% worse than what I was saying was bad for Isaac Hughes for the men's team. Um, but Bot doesn't need to be that much higher because she's going to win possession as much as she loses possession because she's just got a crazy engine and one of the best tacklers in the world. Grace Jale, I think, has the scope to get a lot better with the short passing game. But what we do see from her playing deeper in midfield, which I absolutely love, is her longer passing game. And it was her who hit that switch out to, it wasn't even really a switch, it was more like a through ball to hit Mania Elliott, who set up the goal for Pia Vlok to score. Like that was Grace Jale's ball through that instigated that move, pushing a pass forward from midfield into space with a runner. Men's team could probably take notice on that type of thing. And also with Jale, she has a really good crossfield switch as well. Like that diagonal long ball, she can hit that very well. Plus, she has a long shot, as we saw a few times last season. And playing in midfield is going to allow her to get that one off a little bit more. So I'm quite enthusiastic about that as a midfield pairing, even though I think they don't really do the thing that you think of most, like as for as in a midfield role of being able to just like control the ball under pressure, lay it off. They're both strong though, so I think they're pretty good at holding the ball up, not necessarily getting tackled, not turning it over, but just they're certainly not going to do the bounce pass stuff that we're talking about from Nagasawa and company and on the men's side. But as I say, I like that midfield. I like what they do. I like the combative approach of both of them. I think she looks like a more combative, more focused. What's a good word? Like just feels like she's in the battle more when she is playing deeper and involved in those more like 50-50 type scenarios rather than being a striker being asked to make proactive runs and hold the ball up here or there. Don't think she's nearly as good at that as she is at this. So I love that positional switch for her. I'm coming around certainly on the CJ Bot one. I can see how that just suits this team. And it's clear that they are a much more physical side. I'm not sure how much of that is just like Bev Priestman, even though she came in and said, like, we're going to be a team that works harder than anyone else. We're going to be a team that, wears our hearts on the sleeve and all this stuff. It sounds like something she would have coached into them. But I also think the bones of that were there anyway. Like Mackenzie Berry is a pretty rugged defender. Who Mania Elliott, this like the battles Mania Elliott found herself in through 90 minutes of that game. She was just getting kicked around and like elbowed here and knocked over there and hit the turf so many times. And every single time she gets back up and keeps going. She's got like she's a machine out there. Those players were already there. Daisy Brazendale is a pretty combative midfielder. Like they already had a few of them. You just add a couple more, and it goes from being a thing where it's like we have some players who have this trait to we have a team that has this trait, and it's not necessarily a coach saying we're going to do this. I'm going to teach I don't know Alyssa Wynnham how to make slide tackles or something like that. It's just you add a couple extra players with that profile. CJ Bott comes into the team. Ellie Walker comes into the team. Like the look of Ellie Walker as a centre back. She like I expected from what I could like gather from research about her, I expected someone who's going to be tall, good in the air. I didn't expect someone who was going to be actually quite quick with their feet as well and making like recovering sliding challenges and things like this and catching up with wingers and strikers and shielding the ball out like that. I think she's been excellent, fits that team really well. Um, but yeah, Brooke Nunn as well is another very combative type player to have in there, especially for someone who's like a creative winger. She's someone who gets stuck in. Talking about that before. You add a few things like that into the team, and it they do become quite rugged. And you know who is not fallen short of that either is Pia Vlok, who is 17 years old and is out there roughing up defenders. You know, she's fight. It's not just that she's got an assist and a goal already within her first two starts, within her first three appearances. It's that she's pressing well and she's defending. She's making the efforts to get behind the ball, and she's like shoving over defenders who are 10 years older than her, and just looking physically at home at this level. Luke Brooks-Smith vibes, I guess, from that as well. Difference is that Luke Brooks-Smith has had a couple of goals and assists, maybe not quite at the immediate, sudden, effectiveness of Pia Vlok, but forget about her age. Like the age stuff is great for the stats and the records that she's breaking, but just look at the team without considering that, without thinking of ages or reputations or anything like that. She just looks like a player who should be starting every week for this team. And the fact that Wynnum is now out for the season, which is a bummer. Tessel Medag out for the season, which probably solidifies Grace Jolly having to play deeper rather than maybe alternating between playing as a 10 or a deeper player. That does create room for Pia Vlok to play a whole lot more. And it's also like, this is the one silver lining about an injury crisis. It's actually not just Pia Vlok, because we saw Lily Brazendale get a debut off the bench last week. She was back on the bench, didn't get used, but was on the bench for this game as well, as was Grace Bartlett, who that was her first match day squad for the first team. She's been really good playing as someone who could be a right wing back in this team, could be a number 10 in this team, either or. Someone who's been pretty good for New Zealand youth teams as well as for the Wellington Phoenix reserves. She deserves that call up. And I mean, Amber DeWitt, Alicia Eglinton, there's Katie Pugh, there's more where this came from, in the reserve team, let alone Ella Jerez.
Righto, three more quick things to finish us off here. Sticking with the football, what's the latest with Joe Bell? All Whites International, currently playing for Viking, FK, and of course, middle name Zen.
The famed Zen brothers. They had a Zen-like performance on the weekend as Viking won 1-0 against Fredrikstad. That was their second to last game of the season. They need to win both of them in order to hold on to first place, win the championship, win the Norwegian title for the first time since 1991. And it wasn't until about 20 minutes to go that they scored that goal to win this latest one, but they got the job done. They got there, they kept the clean sheet, they held on through about 8 minutes of stoppage time at the end. Joe Bell played the full thing, as he always does, hovering around in the midfield, moving that ball around, doing the sort of, tracking back defensive work, breaking up counterattacks, all the Joe Bell things. And they, yes, are now one game away from lifting the Norwegian championship. They will play Vålerenga in the last round, which is funny because that's the team they played in the very first game of the season, and they lost when Vålerenga had only just been promoted. They actually turned out to be quite a good team upon promotion. They're not sitting down the bottom or anything like that. That bad loss looks a bit less bad in hindsight, but it especially looks less bad in hindsight when you consider that at that time it was like, damn, the Viking just lost to a promoted team, first game of the season. This isn't looking great for them. And then they peel off like a 12, 13, 14 game unbeaten streak after that. And they've only lost 2 more games ever since. And I think 2 out of 28. And they're 1 win away from winning the title. And I mean, I went through this in the newsletter on Monday. I went through this in my private notes in preparation for the newsletter on Monday, just trying to find like what more significant league title achievements for Kiwi footballers there are. And it's not a long list. Like I know this is not a complete list, but I found like 34 instances of Kiwi players being involved in winning overseas, so outside of like beyond A League, not counting A League. We got it because we got a few of those as well. Costa Barbarousas alone has won three of them with three different teams, more than three actually, but with three different teams. Um, yeah, so I found like 30 odd, a little bit more than that instances. I know there will be more on top of that, but like at least half of those were where the Kiwi player was, well, some of them they were just a fringe who maybe didn't even play or only played like very small roles, didn't really contribute to the success, but was just around the team. Maybe the best example of that would be when Sarpreet Singh won the Bundesliga with Bayern Munich, made two appearances along the season after they'd already, I think the second one was after they'd already clinched the title as well. And that's also for a team in Bayern Munich who at that time, that was the year they won the Champions League as well. They won every single year. They always won. It was a sort of not quite a foregone conclusion because they actually have failed to win it at least once since then, but close to it. Marko Stamenic, obviously, more recent, like his three in a row, but like there was only really one of those years, which was the year he was in Serbia when he was a first 11 player within that title run. And that was for a team which was a foregone conclusion, Red Star Belgrade, that they were going to win that title. So I'm thinking like, what's more significant than what Joe Bell is hopefully going to achieve? Winton Rufer winning the Bundesliga with Werder Bremen, that is. He was a key player for a team that won one of the best leagues in the world. On the women's side, you can have equivalents there with Abby Erceg doing it several times in America, with Ellie Riley doing that in America and also in Sweden. And I don't think there's anything else. Like, I don't think there's another example of a Kiwi player who was not just like a starting level player, but a key player within a league as significant or better than the Norwegian one where Joe Bell is right now. And they're, 90 minutes away from getting that done. So hopefully, hopefully that happens. Also, Owen Parker-Price is 90 minutes away from promotion in Sweden too. He didn't actually play much on the weekend because he was coming back from All Whites duty. Joe Bell was rested in the second game of the All Whites thing for this purpose. Owen Parker-Price wasn't, played a little bit off the bench, therefore only played off the bench in their promotion game in Sweden, but they won 3-0. So that's a pretty significant one as well. It's not in the same level. He's not going to win a league title, but if he gets promoted to the Swedish top tier, that is another Kiwi player in a very high league, which is where Case Sims currently is. And actually as well, where our boy Francis de Vries once upon a time, even though people seem to think he just appeared out of nowhere as a 29-year-old playing for Auckland FC, he had actually already played a season or two in the best league in Sweden.
The Breakers had a loss, then they had a win, which is
usual.
what they do. Did you sense anything different about what the Breakers are up to? They are now... Shout out to the NBL ladder for not having any like ranking number beside the team. So you got to do your own like counting down the list. One of the many goofy things that the NBL does. I think the Breakers might be 7th. So they're moving up the ladder because they've won a few games, but every win has come with a loss. And they're 5-10. 2-5 at home, 3-5 away from home.
5-6 in their last 11 though. So since that 0-4 start, they have at least been the type of team that we're joking about here. Like you win one, you lose one. You win one, you lose one. They still haven't won back-to-back games in over a year, which is crazy stuff. I think that's got to be, I got to count it, but that's got to be at least 30 games since they last won back-to-back. Ridiculous how that can be the case, but I mean, the loss against Perth, they were 4 points down after 3 quarters, and they went on to lose. The win against Cairns, these are the two most recent games. They were 11 points up after 3 quarters. They went on to win. That is the pattern for the Breakers. When they have won games, they have been actually 11 points is their smallest third quarter lead in a victory so far this season. Their previous was, I think, 15. They've been 15 points up against Illawarra after 3 quarters when they won that. 21 points up after 3 quarters when they beat Tasmania. 35 points up in the second game against Illawarra that they won after 3 quarters, 35 points up after 3 quarters, also against Brisbane, and then now they were 11 points up after 3 quarters against Cairns. So if they have a double-digit lead after 3 quarters, they're pretty good at holding on to that in the fourth. If they have anything less than that, they've lost every single game, which includes being up by 4 points after three against Brisbane in one of the home games. Couple like they were up very slightly, like one bucket leads, but they were up against Adelaide and Sydney after 3 quarters. Only 4 points down against Perth, the one I mentioned before, and losing that one. 3 points up against Southeast Melbourne Phoenix, a lead that was 12 at halftime. They also blew an 18-point lead against Brisbane in one of those ones. So this is the same story. The biggest problem is that they are a bad and absolutely terrible fourth quarter team when the game's in the balance. But when the game's not in the balance, because they've actually been quite good, especially in first and third quarters, and I think actually even in the second quarter they got a really big differential overall. Yeah, actually, their second quarter is their best quarter. They're plus 68 across all games, wins and losses in second quarters. Their firsts and thirds are really good when they win and really bad when they lose. This is the thing with the Breakers. But they did against Cairns away from home, their third away win in their last 5 away games. That's not bad for a team that's supposedly struggling. When they get those big leads, they win those games. When they don't get the big leads, they can't hold on and they can't win those games. But they are having a few of those ones lately where they are getting those big leads and therefore are getting those wins. And as I say, they won 5. They're 5-6 in their last 11. A little bit better. Not consistent yet, but a little bit better.
We will see if the Warriors can get a little bit better next season. And for our rugby league section here, the offload, the Bazball offload, I'm going to focus on the players the Warriors have signed at the NRL level. We still don't know much about the players they have signed at the junior level. One signing I think will be interesting just to talk about is the signing of Alofiana Khan-Pereira and Jai Linane. Alofiana Khan-Pereira from the Titans, winger. Jai Linane from the Knights, half, mainly. Both of them seem pretty fast. Alofiana Khan-Pereira, his NRL career to this point is built on the fact that he is fast. One of the fastest wingers in the NRL. Jai Linane looks to be a very lively kind of running half. And so much so that he could be in the fullback mix. That's his running game skill set. But if we think about how we've talked about the Warriors over the last few years, they have added speed every season. We were saying how slow they were, then they sign Aaron Clark as a middle forward, with relative speed for his position. They were Wade Egan isn't fast. He's actually slow. Sam Healy's a little bit slow as well, but he's a lively dummy half runner. They've got Tain Tuaupiki at fullback who adds a bit of speed, and he played a few games on the wing at the start of the season to add a bit of speed to their team as well. There was someone else,
Luke Metcalf, for the half season that he's available.
So Luke Metcalf wasn't necessarily a starting half for the Warriors. Then he comes into the team and he is fast for a half. They didn't actually sign Luke Metcalf or Tain Tuaupiki, but they did sign Aaron Clark. But that is to say they went from a slow team to adding a few more fast players to their squad. And now they've signed Khan-Pereira and Jai Linane, both of whom are going to add even more speed not to the team necessarily, because I don't think either of them are going to be starting NRL players early in the season if they're full strength. Warriors will probably have Tuivasa-Sheck and Watene-Lesniak as their wingers. Khan-Pereira will be the next winger up, I'd say, in that depth chart. the half situation's crazy because you got Tanner Boyd, Chanel Harris-Tavita, Tomato Martin, and Luke Metcalf, four really solid NRL halves. How many young Aussie halves do we have? Luke Hanson, Jack Cleary, Jack Thompson. So they signed another one in Jai Linane. So if you got those four dudes in the NRL group, you've then got Hanson, Cleary, and Linane competing for New South Wales Cup, but there won't be two spots available if it's like Metcalf and Harris-Tavita in the NRL team. Tanner Boyd or Tomato Martin will be playing New South Wales Cup. So it's very complicated, that halves depth, but there's a lot of halves depth, and I do think Jai Linane has another year of under 21 eligibility. So he might just work his way, because he has had a history of major knee injuries, which is probably why he was on the market, you could say, having been a very highly celebrated junior in the Knights system. So it'll be interesting to see what Jai Linane does in the Warriors system. Cam Pereira, I think that's a fairly regular, typical signing. Just a solid, yes, he does have the speed, which is what the Warriors need, but you always sign a backup winger. That's usual. The Jai Linane signing is fascinating because not only do you add another half to your already, the baggie is full in halves depth, but he's another young Aussie who is making the move. We've had Luke Metcalf, Tanner Boyd, Luke Hanson, Jack Cleary, Jack Thompson, and Jai Linane all moved from Australia in the last couple of years to join the Warriors, and two of them are from the Knights. Jack Thompson was signed from the Knights at the under-17 level. He's probably going to be pushing for under-21 footy next season, starting in under-21s. And Jai Linane signed from the Knights as well at a slightly older age level. There's also Hazen Mallars, who the Warriors have signed from the Rabbitohs. And he's a really good outside back, probably a winger, because the Warriors, I don't think they need any more centres, considering that Adam Pompey, Ali Leotawa, Rocco Berry, and maybe Shans Nickel-Klokstad are competing for centre game time in the NRL team. They signed Hazen Mallars from the Rabbitohs, and I still think they have, I think they still have Dayon Amatuanai. I've seen him in a few photos as a winger who played a fair amount of New South Wales Cup last year, but at the back end of the season when the Warriors were sharpening towards finals footy, Amatuanai dropped out of their top New South Wales Cup group. So between Sio Kelly, Hazen Mallars, and Dayon Amatuanai, you got three really good young outside backs there. I think Sio Kelly's going to develop more as a centre. Hazen Mallars and Dayon Amatuanai are probably wingers on the rise. And I did see that Brandon Norris was part of the community drive. So that means Brandon Norris is still in the Warriors system. Amatuanai is part of that community drive as well. And I think Brandon Norris will be a winger to watch out for. I do think he's going to mainly develop as a winger because, again, the Warriors don't need centres because you got those three dudes at the NRL level. Maybe Nickel-Klokstad moves to centre, but Kalis Paul Putoko, his best position is probably centre right now. Could be a fullback. They've also got a dude, Nana Tatafu Vake, who's mainly a centre. And maybe a couple of other dudes develop as centres as well. But Hazen Mallars is probably going straight into that New South Wales Cup team as a winger. And you've also got Morgan Gannon. Have you heard about Morgan Gannon?
No, I haven't.
He is from England. And
yeah, I have. I think you mentioned it before.
He is an interesting forward for the Warriors because he he's mainly an edge forward, but he could play a bit of middle. And I'm curious to see how he progresses in the Warriors system, because I did a stat last week where Jacob Laban, Vaimunga, Lekalasima, Iraramia Toiava, and Tanistawa Smith all averaged over 30 minutes per game last season. All of those dudes are 21 years or younger, and they averaged 30 minutes or more per game in the NRL last season. So Iraramia Toiava, Tanistawa Smith, debut season, they were averaging over 30 minutes per game. There's not a lot of desperation for edge forwards, because you got Leka Halasima, you got Kurt Capewell, maybe Marata Niokore, but I think he's probably best suited to the middle at this stage, because I want to see Jacob Laban get a lot more game time at edge forward for the Warriors in the NRL. So if you got, let's say, Capewell, Halasima, and Laban, you got 3 really good edge forwards there. Iraramia Toiava can play edge. Kalis Fatialofa can play edge, probably hunting a debut next season. But they've also got this Morgan Gannon chap who's taller, and he does have that Super League experience, bit of a more mature professional than the young forwards. I am very curious to see where Morgan Gannon fits in, to be honest. I don't see any of these dudes top 17 NRL round 1 in a full strength team. And I think Morgan Gannon will probably need to dominate New South Wales Cup to jump ahead of like Fatialofa, let alone Iraramia Toiava, let alone Jacob Laban, let alone Leka Halasima, let alone Kurt Capewell. But Gannon is he's a good hole runner. He's got good hands. He's a big body, so he could be very useful for the Warriors. He could also play through the middle and add a bit more size to that middle forward group, because like Tanistawa Smith isn't that big. Vaimunga's big, but he's not massive. There's not necessarily a big bopper. I do think Iraramia Toiava is bigger than a lot of people think he is. But I'm curious, like, where does Gannon fit in? Has he been recruited to jump ahead of the young forwards? Has he been recruited to try and outperform some of the young forwards and work his way up? I'm just curious about what his role is in this Warriors system. Anyone moving to the Warriors does so knowing and understanding that they will have to earn their way through the system, that they will start at a lower level than they probably wanted to. But they all love that. They all enjoy that. They welcome that because they come to the Warriors. Whether they're a young Aussie, whether they're an older Aussie, everyone comes to the Warriors open to the process that Webster and McFadden, the 2 Andys, are rolling out. And I'm just curious to see, like, well, how good is Gannon, first and foremost, and like where does he fit in the Warriors depth chart? Because without seeing much of him in the rugby league sport, aside from the highlights, which are the highlights, they're not the lowlights, I don't know if he is going to be in the NRL mix to start round 1. But that's the core 4. All of them have been signed to the NRL level, which is more interesting for someone like Malaz, who apparently has an NRL contract for 2026, let alone the next 2 years. Khan Pereira, he's an NRL contract player. Gannon moving from the Super League to the NRL would only happen with an NRL contract. And Jai Lanane is also in that NRL contract tier, but he's got a serious injury history that, like, the NRL contract this year probably gets him to the Warriors. But then there's a case like all these dudes. Lanane's got a 3-year deal. Gannon's got a 3-year deal. Mallas and Khan Pereira, they all have 3-year deals according to NRL.com. So that tells me that there's a long-term kind of vision for all those players, as opposed to rushing them into the NRL team early next season. But again, notice how I haven't said top 30, because top 30 doesn't matter at all. These signings have NRL contracts, which is great for them because they make a little bit more money. But there is nothing stopping anyone else without an NRL contract playing ahead of them. Someone with a train and trial contract might play ahead of them, to be honest. So for us fans, the type of contract these players have doesn't mean anything at all to us. But all four of these dudes have 3-year NRL contracts, which is a reason why they've probably come here, because those are good deals for those players, respectively, where they're at. But also it's a long-term kind of process for those players. And I think that's a good position for the Warriors to be in. And I will keep learning about the players the Warriors have signed at a lower level. So far, like we've got Braylon Marsh. His signing was announced because he's the son of a father and a mother. So congratulations. He's not going to be near New South Wales Cup, let alone maybe under 21s. But of course, we've got Harry Inch, the signing from Nelson Boys. I think it was out of Nelson Boys, but signing from Rugby Union. He's probably the most notable signing below the NRL tier, which does include the development contracts. So again, top 30 is really top 45 when you factor in all the other contracts that are available to the players. But just based on the community visits that are listed by the Warriors website, the only new player below the NRL group does seem to be, or are, Harry Inch and Braylon Marsh. And I think, given what Harry Inch did in Rugby Union and how hard the Warriors went in signing him, you could make a case that in 3 years' time, so all those dudes, Gannon, Mellors, Khan Pereira, so on, maybe by the end of the 2027 season, which is the second year of their contracts, you could say Harry Inch was the best signing of them all. But he's probably going to start next year in the under-21 team. But again, that's just based on the hype around him. But it's a very interesting situation to keep track of, that some of the best Warriors players may not be in the NRL tier right now. And as far as new signings entering the 2026 season, there is a case to be made that Harry Inch may be the most important signing of them all.
And with that, I guess is there anything else? What have we not got to?
Oh, the Dragons are some player signings, and Shane Flanagan's culture at the Dragons, and how, yeah. No, we need to finish this.
Yeah, we'll say that for next week.
Big up to everyone.
Maybe
do your best. Enjoy the Aotearoa sports. I'd say prepare for a very relaxed test series by doing some relaxing. Just prepare your lounging, prepare your backyard cricket, because
change your middle name to Zen.
Yeah, maybe even have a crack at that. Spend some time at the crease. Big up to you. Kia kaha. Stay beautiful. Church.